So for those of you guys who don't know, my wife and I got married last year, January 2025, and we moved to Japan the following month. I've mentioned in previous videos that less than 1% of the population here in Japan are Christian, so the reason why me and my wife moved here was to help out the church. I work as a fitness and kickboxing instructor at my friend's gym, help my local church in Yokohama, and I try to keep up with all my YouTube responsibilities. So in an effort to encourage you guys, I thought that I'd list out the big lessons that I've learned back in 2025.
Before we jump back into the video, I want to thank today's sponsor, Private Internet Access VPN. One thing a lot of people don't realize is that many VPNs still keep records of what you do online. So even though you think you're private, your activity is being stored somewhere. And honestly, that kind of defeats the whole point. That's why I use PIA VPN. PIA has a strict no logs policy, which means they do not track, store, or record your online activity. What you do online stays private, period. On top of that, PIA encrypts your connection, hides your IP address, and protects you from hackers, data collectors, and unwanted surveillance. And with servers in 91 countries and all 50 US states, you can connect securely from almost anywhere in the world. PIA is also great if you're into sports. A lot of games are region locked depending on where you live or travel, but with PIA, you can change your server location to access sports broadcasts that might normally be unavailable where you are. Right now, Impact viewers can get an exclusive 83% discount, plus an extra 4 months free. That comes out to just $2.03 a month, and it's completely risk-free with their 30-day money-back guarantee. Just go to piavpn.com/impactvideoministries or click the link in the description to get started today. All right, let's get back to it.
So let's talk about my marriage. Yeah, so months February, March, and April were the first 3 months of us being married, and we were able to find a small home in Japan. And not having a car at the time, we walked about 45 minutes to get to work and 45 minutes back. And I know that may not sound that bad, but after spending over 10 hours at the gym and it being really cold outside, that last 45-minute walk back home felt like forever. And just being honest with you guys, those first few months of me being married, me and my wife fought a ton. In fact, one of the things that we learned is that I like doing as much as I can to help a bunch of people. And because of that, I said yes to meeting with a bunch of people who visited Japan, and I said yes to talking to people over the phone about them wanting to move to Japan, and then I said yes to helping people with some extra workouts, and I said yes to impromptu impact meetings. And many times after I came home after all of that, I'd be too tired to do anything. So when my wife wanted to connect and talk, many times I'd be empty from all the ministry that I was doing. You see, back when I was single, I was used to always running myself to the ground. And being married, I found that I can't come home on empty like I used to. To give you an average of how much Abigail and I fought, I'd say we get into a serious argument at least 2 to 3 times a week. But thankfully, back in May, we went to our premarital counselors and we got some therapy. And so we're doing much better now, thank you. And yeah, I'm a huge fan of counseling, so if any of you guys are in a relationship, you should really consider it. So that was February to May. I'd say June to August, the main lesson was silence. Normally when I wake up, I walk to the convenience store to grab a coffee, and then I walk to the park to do my devotional. And many times I just sit down there at the park and I thank God for my wife and my family and my friends. Oh, and something else huge that I learned is that God will use just about anything that you're willing to give him. So way back in the day, I used to be the artist behind our whiteboard videos. So it's really interesting because all of a sudden God used my art background to kind of help build the foundation for Impact Video Ministries. So that's one thing. But back when I was in California, a couple things that I loved to do just for a hobby was to box and to work out. And what do you know? Here in Japan, I have a job helping people work out and kickbox, and I have another job that's full of art. And that's just me. My wife loves animals, plants, and ceramics, and she's already building relationships here in Japan through her hobbies. So my encouragement to all of you is to give what you love to God, because you'd be very surprised what he'll do with it. And then there's September of this year. I'd say September was one of the hardest months of my life. I had to go back home for a friend's funeral, and to keep things brief, my family back in California was broken and hurting. On top of that, Charlie Kirk died, and I learned of another friend who passed away. So in the span of 2 weeks, I learned of 3 deaths that affected me heavily. So my wife and I flew back to California for an emergency trip, but I couldn't just go home to grieve because I had to take care of all my family. And I also had to balance ministry and YouTube. At the time, I remember having a hangout scheduled with my cousin, and when I was walking towards the bus stop with my wife, I kinda had an emotional breakdown. And I had to cancel everything and just stay home to kind of heal. Honestly, a lot of things kind of fell through. I didn't have everything balanced, but I tried my best to be there for my family and friends. So I guess the learning lesson here that I took away from everything, as simple as it is to make more time for the people that you love. After everything that happened, I remember working here in Japan on my laptop, and my little brother texted me. And normal me would have continued working and texted him later when I was done. But at that moment, I was so thankful that my brother was healthy and that he wanted to talk to me. So I stopped everything so that I can go and hang out with him, even if it was a little brief. So to change gears here and to continue with the life updates, in the span of 6 months, my wife and I got 3 pets. Back when I was single, I could never really keep anything alive except my cat Miko, but my wife absolutely adores animals. So here in Japan, we have a pet axolotl named Lily, a Java finch named Mino, and our pet bunny named Mochi. In terms of personality, Lily is the most interactive aquatic little guy ever, and she'll always kind of like swim up to the tank and will face wherever we are in the bedroom. And then there's Mino, who's literally the most clingy bird, so he'll always hang out on our shoulder or on our hands whenever he's with us. And then there's Mochi, who's both adorable and incredibly destructive. I really wanted to include our pets because they kind of make our life more fun and colorful these days. Like, Japan is chaotic, and it took a lot for me and my wife to kind of have everything in order. And in all the chaos, we learned to have regular small moments of appreciation where we drink our tea, hang out with our pets, and clean around the house while they run and fly around. I'm sure things will get more chaotic should kids come into the picture, but for now, we're enjoying our simple life in our little home with our 3 little friends. To wrap things up, I'd say a verse that I thought a lot about during 2025 was 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 13, where it says, "If we are faithless, he remains faithful. He cannot deny himself." Looking back at my journal for 2025, I missed a lot of my daily Bible readings, and I either rushed to work or put it off. But every single time I returned to God after all the busyness of the gym and meetings and YouTube, I was reminded of God's consistent help and support. So for you, as this year unfolds, I challenge you to give God more of your life and to pause from the busyness to hear what he has to say to you. And I'd also encourage you to get help if you need it, and to stop and to just be thankful for every day that you have, and to always remember that Jesus loves you. Hey everyone, thank you again so much for watching. And if you haven't already, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell.
That's right. And if you want to take it a step further, you can become a member and support the work that we're doing here at Impact. Check it out.
Yes, if you guys didn't know already, our team is actually pretty big. So if you look at our description, it actually has all of the artists that actually made our whiteboard videos. And they also have work outside of Impact. So I'd encourage you guys to look at their links and support them. God bless.
God bless, guys.